systems today. That's how the music ties in. It always ties in, you know? So let's see here. We're underway. Greetings, Revo. There's Maria's whole team. DeVal's on board. We got 3 or 4 booking buddies there. Good. Sophie, a large, spacious office. Very beautiful. Welcome, Gintara. Welcome. Hi. Yes. Okay. So let's talk. Today, let me pull up my notes. That helps me. I don't normally know what I'm talking about. We have had a little odyssey here in the last few weeks, if you've been with us. We spent February and March talking about financial peace, how to live debt-free. So if you're struggling with money and living paycheck to paycheck, I'd encourage you to go back to February and listen to some of those recordings if Momic still has those available. We also talked about grit a few weeks ago. And then we did a little piece on 5 lies that we believe about our identity. So that's good, you know, and that's, I hope you remember that. I can't just, if you remember like 1 or 2 thoughts from each call, I'll consider them successful. Last week we talked about 3 reasons why leaders sink, why they fail. So this week we're going to talk about systems. Systems. Right? So that's your header. Not an exciting header. I couldn't think of a clever title, so I just systems. An easy word, another kind of twist on that is habits. System and habits. So we're kind of popping around to different topics, but I think this will be helpful. What I'd like for you to do as we start is to think of a problem that you have at work. Think of a problem you have at work, or think about your team, a problem you have with your team. Or maybe your home life. Think about a problem you have at home. A problem that just keeps coming back, all right? And if you're thinking about business, you might think, well, you know, when I speak to people in businesses, they say, well, we've got a quality control problem, or we've got a customer service problem, or we've hired the wrong people. Or some of you might say, I have a messy house problem at home. Your flat is trashed. But it's probably a systems problem. Now, some companies are very, very different than LGFG. And I've had people say, well, we don't really have systems. We're more just relational. We really don't need systems. Well, that's not true. Everybody has systems. I mean, your system that may or may not be working for you very well right now might be to start your day and you come in the office and you immediately check all your emails in your inbox. You start handling problems as they come up, dealing with unhappy clients. You're like, oh my gosh, now I gotta get on the phones, make things happen, make those contacts. And then you go home not really accomplishing what you wanted to. You don't have as many activity points as you wanted, and you go home stressed out. And that keeps recurring. That is a system. And you're like, well, I never thought of it that way. Yes, that's a system. You have systems by intent. You've actually thought about them. You have systems that just, you're sort of on autopilot. They're by default. Either way, you've got systems. And the systems that you have are either a result of something you've consciously created or something that you just sort of tolerate. So if you want a better outcome to your work at LGFG, you've got to start by creating a better system. Now, when I was in my 20s, I had the cool opportunity to meet with an individual named Jack Ferris here in Nashville. Jack Ferris was a consultant who spent a little bit of time with young sales managers at our company and had the opportunity to sit down with him a few times. And the reason I knew Jack Ferris is that he was also a consultant to President Reagan. Yes, the President of the United States, way back in the day. And I was like, holy cow, this is the guy that coaches. And he said, Lee, you've got a lot going for you. You're quick on your feet. You can fly by the seat of your pants. You can make up stuff on the fly. You're creative, good right brain stuff. But you know what? You need to develop some systems. And I was like, Okay, help me with that. So he did, and I made changes. So systems go way back. You know, if some of you have a Bible and you read the very first chapter of the Bible, it says the world was formless, it was void, and God said what? Let there be light. The first system. And he separated light from night, earth from sky, land from water, birds from fish, and so on, all that. He created systems. He had specific systems, and he didn't move on to creating the next system until he said, this is good. He always pronounced them good. So then he finally created humans, and he gave us directions for taking care of everything, and including a system for resting once a week, which I encourage you to do. Take a day off, probably on Sunday. So creation was initiated with the system. And I ask you, what are your systems? What are your daily habits? I had an opportunity to coach Yoni. I don't know if he's on the call today because I don't see any Canadians handy. And Yoni was very consistent producer, had some struggles personally. And you know what? I think last week he may have changed his habits. He certainly made some adjustments. He may have even implemented a new system. He hit 30K in a week last week, which most of us would say, that's a pretty good week, right? It's a far cry from his earlier production. So he changed some systems. He changed some habits. And what I emailed him back about was I just wanted him to notice what he did exactly to get those new results. And you can't, if you have a big spike in your production, like I've noticed a lot of people are doing really well with their activity points, but if somebody comes out of the blue, you can't just go, oh, I was just lucky. It was luck. Or you can't say, well, God smiled on me that day. Well, he did, but you can't chalk it up to that. You change something in your environment, in your thinking, in your attitude, and what you're saying with clients, something was shifted. So I want you to first analyze your systems and your habits, and then we're going to talk about changes. Tony Robbins, some of you have listened to his recordings. Has anybody done that? Listen to Tony Robbins, Anthony Robbins? Yeah. Good, a talented and smart individual. I had the opportunity to sit in on one of his seminars live when he was here in Nashville. And I took a few notes. Here's one that I wrote down that I really liked. He said, it's not what we do once in a while that counts. It's not what we do once in a while that counts, but our consistent actions. Our consistent actions. And what he calls he says, well, what's the father of action? Where does it all start? He says it comes from decisions. Our decisions are the father of our actions, our systems. So let me give you, I'll rewind. Back when I was in my teens, I had posters of rock stars all over my walls because I was like, yeah, dig it. I mean, I had a giant 6-foot, 7-foot poster of Kiss on the wall. You remember them. I had Alice Cooper was the first concert I went to, Black Sabbath. I was just like, my mom hated it. She was just like, what are you doing? I'm losing my child. But I was sort of daydreaming about it would be so cool to be a star like that and have all this adulation and fame, and mostly women was the main driver. But here's the deal. I didn't, even though I daydreamed about that, I didn't have the follow through, those consistent actions of practicing. And the guys in our band, we were good collectively, individually, not so great. Now we've played together over about almost 50 years off and on, but we needed to sell out and go for broke and really attack it and be committed to making that dream happen. And we didn't. We all went on different directions and different careers. So it's not what we do once in a while that counts, like me practicing once a week or having a gig every couple weekends. It's our consistent actions. So what ultimately determines who we become and where we go? Those little decision moments that Tony Robbins talks about, that's where our destiny happens, okay? Tiny little decision moments. And those can be good little decision moments and crappy ones. How many of you listen to Jordan Peterson? Anybody familiar with Jordan? Yes, Jordan Peterson says If you, one of his recordings says, you know, if you are studying the natural law, like reality, even tiny decisions you make, if you twist reality, if you try to go around the natural law and bend it in some way or do something wrong, you might say, nobody will notice, no one's going to see, you know, this is just something that, you know, it may be a little sacrifice of integrity, but somewhere down the line, reality snaps back and slaps you in the face. You can't escape the natural law. So those little decision moments we make, even tiny things, that's where you shape your destiny. That's where you start to become who you are. Okay? So when I was in graduate school, I'm telling stories today. Woo! So when I was in graduate school, I had a little sign on my desk, which was a huge help to me to stay on track. It was also a pain in the butt, but I stole it from a book called The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. And here's what one of the little sections said. Real simple. This might be something you can take away from this call. It said, look at your behavior, look at your goals. Do they match? That was it. Simple. Look at your behavior, look at your goals. Do they match? Okay, so there was a period in university where I came in, you know, my roommates made fun of me because I had all these little motivational sayings around my desk. And so there's one morning I'd skipped the first class, slept in, and it was like seriously groggy, and there was a test coming up, and my roommate knew about it, and he came over and kind of shook me awake. And he said, hey, you know you missed your first class. I'm like, ah, no. And he said, you wanted to do well this semester, right? And I go, yeah. And he said, look at the little sign on your desk. That's a joke. And I was just like, oh. I mean, I felt crappy because he was like, look at your behavior, look at your goals. Do they match? I'm like, no. So what do most university students do? If they look at their behavior and they look at their goals and say, do they match? They go, no. So you know what I'm going to do? Am I going to change my behavior to match my goals? No, I'm going to change my goals. It's like, let me turn that down. I don't really need A's. I can, you know, B's are all right. That's not a big deal, you know, and then an occasional C wouldn't hurt. I guess I can, you know, you start going that downhill slide, and then eventually you're like, well, I can drop this class. No big deal. So that's how most people in the world operate. So I'm hoping that if you've set some serious goals at LGFG, you ratchet your behavior to match your goals and not the other way around. So that's a good little thing to think about. Now, John Maxwell, we're going to be studying him in my part at Leeds. He has what he calls the law of consistency. And he says this, motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. Motivation gets you going, but discipline or consistency keeps you growing, right? So anybody can get fired up. Most university students start each term like, yes, this is the time, this is the semester, I'm going to do it. I'm putting it all together. I'm going to kill it. And by the few weeks later, they're like, yeah, well, so I'm not so interested. So everyone can be motivated at the beginning of a project, but discipline keeps you growing. That's what you need. And so if you're in your second or third or fourth month at LGFG, you need to remember that, because it's easy to be motivated when you first join, but you got to keep growing and be patient with yourself. All right. So you'll not change anything in your life unless you change something you do daily. All right. You will never change anything in your life unless you change something you do daily. So let me give you a couple thoughts or examples. Like if you wanted to lose weight, okay, it's difficult to lose 20 pounds or 15 pounds in 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week, you know, unless you starve yourself. You just can't do it. You need to do something every day. Like I'm going to reduce my carbs every day. I'm going to quit eating as much bread. I know that's difficult. Okay. Or I'm going to omit desserts. That is a daily choice. Years ago, when I was working hard at Southwestern, I started to travel more and more and more. And I was on the road a ton away from my family, especially in the summertime when our work was at peak production. So one of my values was to try to balance work better with family. And I knew I needed to change something, create a new system that would satisfy that. So I could be home for the kids' sports tournaments and things like that. So what I did was I decided I'm just going to start traveling with my kids. So every time I went on a business trip, I would take my wife. I would rotate the 3 kids I've got. I go, okay, Luke, next month I'm going to New York. Do you want to go to New York? And he was young. He's like, yeah, Dad. So he'd have a chance to go away on a weekend with Dad, create some memories. We took some pictures. We, bonded, as it were. And so I've worked family into work. Most people are like, corporation versus family, which is going to have the right amount of time? How can balance happen? And a lot of people, you'll notice, will just sacrifice family for work. It doesn't have to be that way. You've got to create new systems, right? So I got tired of being away from my kids, so I changed my system. Some of you, reflecting more would be a great new system to implement. Instead of filling your free time with a lot of not urgent and not important activities, like just sitting there for 3 hours at night before you crash, watching the TV, or playing video games or checking your Instagrams too much. I mean, you can make changes. It's daily choices. So Maxwell says the secret of your success lies in your daily agenda. The secret of your success lies in your daily agenda. And I'm sorry I haven't numbered these. I should say like number 4. So everyone goes, oh, that's important. I should write it down. But that's another important thought. The secret of your success lies in your daily agenda. Here's your question for 2 or 3 questions for today. 1 question: what do I need to change to get closer to my dream? What do I need to change in order to get closer to my dream? So what I want you to do as a little mini assignment is think of 1 system you can do today, 1 new habit that will leverage your future over time. Okay? So think or write it down. What's 1 thing what's 1 pain point that it's been bugging me that I can change and maybe not completely overhaul, like say I'm going to lose 30 pounds in the next 2 weeks. No, what little change can I make that can leverage future over time? Think about that. And if you're like, I don't know, I can't think of anything, let me give you a few. I made a list. Check this out. And I'm going to go fast. So if one hits you, write it down. Reduce your carbs. Have daily quiet time. Some of you need that. 3rd, read a book every 2 or 3 weeks. Read a book. Okay? Reading is good. Leaders are readers. Here's another one. Find an accountability partner. Find someone that you like and trust and respect that can hold you accountable to making sure you hit your goals. That's called an accountability partner. That's another little thing you can do. Here's another one. Increase your phone time. Here's another one. Bump up your floating goal. All right? Or when you look at your calendar, try to increase the amount that it's filled by 20 or 30%. I'm kind of making up stuff, but these are little things you can do that over time will really impact your business. Here's one. I'm thinking about home life now. Spend 15 minutes at the end of the day listening to your partner. Hello? Spend 15 minutes a day listening to your girlfriend, boyfriend, partner. If you're a guy, this isn't easy to do sometimes because we use up all of our words during the day. Our inventory of words is depleted. So when we come home, we want to just kind of hang out in the cave and chill. It's a great thing to listen to your partner. Here's another one. Join a book club. Here's another one. A step toward organization. Clean your car if you have a car. Or clean your desk. Some of you have pigs could live in your work area because there's just stuff everywhere. Here's another one. My list goes on. Join a book club. I've said that. Here's another one. Clean up your language after you clean your desk. There's no reason to swear a lot. No reason. Doesn't help. Here's another one. Take 15 minutes at the end of the day to think and reflect. If you do that, your life will change. If you take 10 minutes to reflect on your day, or here's another, begin a journal. If you take 15 minutes to write down, here's what worked, here's what didn't, here's what I'd change, here's what I thought about today, you will be in rarefied air compared to most people in the world. Here's another one. This is what I do. Take a self-development course online. I'm taking online classes. Why? Because I don't want my brain to atrophy as an old man, okay? So take a self-development course. Here's another one. This is going to help your systems. If you're always rushing, grabbing a bagel, running to catch the bus to get to work or whatever, and you're there late, and you're like, oh my gosh, if it's always kind of rush, just turn back the alarm by 10 or 15 minutes. How easy. Wake up 15 minutes earlier. That's a systems change. Here's another great one that our top producers do. Take an hour to plan your week out. Take an hour to plan your week. Usually it's on Sundays. Okay? How many people have heard one thing that can help them if they changed it so far? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 4 of you. Good. Victory. You think I'm done. I'm not. Here's a couple more. Write down your roles and your goals. What are your roles in life? R-O-L-E-S, roles. You're a boyfriend, you're a work manager, you're a clothier. Write down your roles and then write down goals for those roles. Here's another one. If you haven't heard anything that tickles your fancy yet, review your purpose once a day for 1 minute. Take a minute to review your purpose. If you're like, I don't have a purpose, then we should work on that. Here's another one. Write down 5 things you're grateful for each day and change them. All right? Some of you have a gratitude journal. If you don't, you could start writing that down. It's a great thing. You could even put it up on a board at work where people can see, oh, here's what we're grateful for. That would be a cool thing. So a couple more thoughts. I know this has been rambling, but it's full of such good stuff that can help you. But the burden is now on you to take action. Some of you have read the book. When I first started, I joined LGFG 3 years ago or more. Dimitri was taking the team that we had at that time through a book by John Maxwell called the 360 degree leadership. And principle number 9 in that book, I'm sure you didn't memorize them, was this: be better tomorrow than you are today. Be better tomorrow than you are today. Simple. I like simple stuff. He said the key to personal development is being more growth-oriented than goal-oriented. So Maxwell would say, if you grow as a person, that will be more important than you knocking out your goals. Okay? And he also said, if you're not moving forward as a learner, you're moving backward as a leader. So, man, you know, God didn't create a world where we could just stagnate, where we could just stop and go, okay, I'm happy with how things are. I'm just going to park right here. No, you're either moving forward and learning things and spiraling upward, or if you're trying to hang on to where you are, you'll begin a slow descent. I promise. So let me encourage you to start setting goals on who you want to be rather than just what you want to achieve. Okay? So your last little piece of notes, and I'll probably talk about this in lead some more, but it is to set who goals, not do goals. Does that make sense? Set who goals, not do goals. Then think about your systems. When I was 25, honestly, I liked so many things. I had so many ideas about careers. I thought I could go into business. I could do sales. Heck, I could go into music maybe. Heck, I could, I had all these different options. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was a little paralyzed. I was suffering from option paralysis. But I did know this. I knew what kind of person I wanted to become. And that's what I tried to concentrate on. And I figured if I worked on me, then no matter what I ended up doing in a career, I would be good at it. So I challenge you. What are your systems? What are you working on to improve yourself? What system do you need to create to get the results you want? All right. So those are my thoughts. Yay. Tons of them. Lots of stuff. Does anyone have a thought about that? Or has anybody created a system or made a little tweaky change that led to new results that you're happy with? That, or under the general topic of habits?
Hey, Lee, it's Jason Dial.
Jason, I've heard of you.
Yeah, I'm the new guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So in the past, I've in sales, which can relate to whatever aspect we do in this business, but I have doubled them 3 times at different tenures. And that always came from writing out my goals, writing out specifically what I wanted, the emotional reasons why, when do I want it, what do I have to do to get it, which is the plan. So we can discuss that later, but yes, I think it all kind of comes back to goals. And you everything you discuss, all those ideas were like a subset of my goals, whether it be the emotional reasons, person I want to become, or what do I have to do to get it.
Yeah, good. So you would approve of the content of this call?
Yes, Tea with Lee is on today.
Okay. Well, good. Appreciate the support. When I asked that question last night about systems changes or habits, Chinda did have one response. This is an example of a paradigm shift that helped him. He used to have the belief or the system that he couldn't meet people over lunch. That's just what he believed. Or he just thought, well, weekends, they're sort of inviolate. I can't get business done on weekends because people, and he said he traced it back, these lunchtime things, to maybe one guy that initially when he said, could we meet at noon? And the guy said, no, that's when I eat lunch. And so he was like, oh, okay. So I guess that lunchtime hour, I can't have clients, or I can't call on anybody. So he was trying to find the perfect time to call on them. Now he meets people on weekends. He had 3 clients this past weekend. He does have people he invites over the lunch period, but he would always avoid the lunch hour starting way back until he changed his system. When he asked one client, can you meet Saturday at 10 a.m.? The guy was like, oh yeah, I'm free. Boom. Perfect. So that was a systems change that he made that helped obviously propel his business to new heights. So I'm just going to challenge you to think about what your systems are. You don't have to be on autopilot all the time. You can ask your partner, you can ask your teammates, hey, what's a little habit that I do that may not be helping me? If they're your friends, if they want to see you win, they'll give you good answers. So search for that and go have a fantastic week. I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Same time, same channel. Until then, signing off.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
We are difficult.